SpaceStation Gaming, who have the first selection here. Any anticipation on the bans?
Something interesting I thought here, sorry Panda, was that in all these other games, the styles were kind of different. Like Elevate, completely unique style. In this game, both Yaman and Andy have played a lot of Soul. Both supports have prioritized Fafnir very highly. Both the ADCs love Hou Yi. Like, there's a lot of the very same picks in this.
Even in the jungle, you're going to see, I think Thor might be contested.
I mean, all across the board, Osiris and Kakalin and Solo as well. Like, all of these god pools are very, very similar.
I agree. I think a lot of these teams play the same picks, or not the same picks, but the same concept. You know, early pressure into a great team fight, into a lead. Everyone likes to play off of one another, so I think a lot of these picks are going to be contested. I wouldn't be surprised to see some Hou Yi bans, AMC bans, whatever it might be, get people off of the comforts.
Well, the RDO is going to be banned first and foremost. SpaceStation Gaming, a little bit of afraid. NRG does have that in their wheelhouse, but they don't always go to it.
Yeah, I actually think something that's interesting here is that because there's a lot of contested picks, normally that second side can kind of trade up, because if all the picks are like about even and everybody plays anything, like what's the clear first pick in this draft? Like I don't think there's any clear like #1 broken god that you can't let through sort of thing. So because of that, it's going to be really interesting to see if NRG kind of does a couple target bans like Fafnir and then tries to trade up on the second side and get kind of a 2-for-1 sort of deal. I
think SpaceStation, I would like to see SpaceStation prioritize Homie FA's pick, but I think they're going to prioritize an AMC. That's what we've seen so far this weekend.
You think they first pick like one of AMC or Hou Yi or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, they've really leaned on those hunters.
Well, it's important to get that pressure, and AMC is probably just the best god for pressure. Yeah, there's no way you can contest AMC pressure. He just fits right in perfectly. And we see they take away Kabrakin from NRG, and I'm not surprised. The EU meta has been triple Guardian, double Hunter, and I don't think they want to deal with that.
And, you know, not for nothing, Kabrakin's also one of Maniac's just most comfortable selections.
Yeah, and even when it hasn't been the triple Guardian, it's always been double auto attackers and something like a Soul, for example. I wouldn't be surprised if both Hunters are open right now, like they are, the AMC and the Hou Yi. I wouldn't leave a Soul up here because then SSG could pick the Soul and then still trade the Hunters, and then you lose pressure if you're NRG.
Yeah, the Soul Soul is such a dynamic character because I don't think Soul in a vacuum is the best character in the game, but what she allows you to do with your draft is untouchable. You have two characters, assuming you have a Hunter as well, that are just going to siege objectives, siege the towers, and she becomes so fantastic.
Especially if you hit everything on her. Like if you hit all the auto attacks and keep your heat stacked, then she can be nuts.
Exactly. That's really the key there. NRG looking for their second and final ban of the first phase.
Taking a long time for this.
Yeah, and I expect all of this. Ratatasker, I like that. I expect all of these picks and bans to go down to the wire. I
actually kind of am surprised by the rat ban because Homie is notorious for, even when there was rat metas, like last fall, excuse me, he never really played it much. He's not really a rat player. He prefers other stuff like Thor and so on. So I'm kind of surprised that NRG went to ban that out.
I think has Scary played the rat ever?
Not since like Worlds, I don't think.
Not since like last year Worlds. I mean, the same could be said about the Vamana that we saw, you know, just before.
Right.
So it's going to be the Kakulin, which might have been the smarter ban. Either way,
I think they just sold Hou Yi here. Yeah. Honestly, I'm pretty sure they just sold Hou Yi and then they third pick, you know, maybe Osiris or something. I think
taking away the Soul from Answer is big. He played it. I think almost every game versus Luminosity on Wednesday, and he did a spectacular job on it. He might not have won every game, but I don't think any of those games were Andy's fault. He played well. The highlights we saw, they're great. So I wouldn't be surprised that NRG take away Soul and then one of the auto attackers between AMC and Hou Yi.
That's one of the things with SpaceStation Gaming is I think you can look at the tape from the entire season and SpaceStation wind up finding losses and answer have nothing to do with it. So the AMC, like we talked about, is going to be taken away from SpaceStation Gaming. I think that's a really good move from NRG and the Osiris as well.
That's interesting as well because that is kind of the alternative of what I was saying, where the picks that I had mentioned, the Soul Hou Yi, they give you pressure, but it's not level 1 pressure. Like Osiris AMC are that level 1 pressure to fight and clear the waves. So that's telling me that NRG really wants to set up like good snowball.
Yeah, Osiris, one of the more devastating level 1 characters to deal with in the game. Sylvanas, maybe not so much. Raijin, though, definitely a potent level 1 character for
Yeah, that seems to be Andy's #1 mage. I think he's picked it every game that it wasn't banned, and then it would be Soul after that.
I think they're going for a kill AMC comp here. That's just a typical Sylvanas route.
Especially
without
if he
beads
goes
and
blink
first
item.
Yep, and that's a pretty easy way to cancel out the pressure. You know, you don't have any pressure if you're dead.
Yeah, I mean, AMC
Nice one,
pressure,
Sherlock.
sure. You know, if you win the game, you don't lose the game.
Oh, I'm not wrong.
Serket going to be selected here next to AMC, but Amusing Cobb for the longest time was don't pick him, he dies too easy. And now that's not the case. What's the biggest deal that has allowed AMC to successfully be in the meta?
I think that
yeah,
AMC, he still dies just as easy as he did before. There's no, he didn't get health buffs. You don't build tanky on him. He's the same hunter that he was last season, the season before that. So
Are people just not focusing on killing him?
I don't think it's that. I don't think people are that afraid of being killed. I think it's more like, if we get pressure, when will they ever be in the position to kill me? If you're ahead, you're usually the one on the front foot. You're the one engaging. So dying would be more you being out of position, not the god.
Can't the jungler just gank you forever?
No, because this meta is really farm and invasive intensive. So the jungler rotating over to me to kill me, I'll take the death. If you get their speed, their blue, their backs, that's a kill split between two, and my jungle gets their whole jungle, and we should win off that.
Well, especially now, because I was going to say it's kind of like a Devo Gauntlets meta. Like in the past, we haven't really seen that. We've seen like Iqbal, Aussie type stuff. So even if the AMC got pressure, he couldn't outbox you. But now he's going to outbox you. He can kind of sit there, and it doesn't matter if he's immobile, if he's out trading you.
That makes a lot of sense. AMC able to heal himself up even if he does get attacked, and NRG just staring at Zapman.
I like both of those bands.
I love these bands.
Yeah, I think all four of those bands were perfect.
And yeah, all four of these bands were absolutely perfect, and I think this really comes and shows that like SSG and NRG during the regular season might not have had the. If you're newer to Smite, you might look at the win-loss and go like, I thought these teams were supposed to be good, but you sort of put on your reading glasses and look at the picks and bans, and you know these guys are smart.
I'm not sure what Yaman plays here. Like, he could do like a throwback thing where they try to set up adapting to like get ahead and gank and try to do like a Janus or something. I don't know if he plays Poseidon. He hasn't really had he's normally top 3 in all the games they've played recently, so I don't know what he goes to.
Is there an issue with playing 4 physical in your mind?
With their comp, yes.
Okay.
I think that Yemen has something in his books. You could see that they 4th pick Ganesha instead of 4th
they could do Kronos and put the AMC in mid.
Yeah.
They could do that.
Emo is notorious for Kronos. He does have the NRG Kronos skin from that Worlds game.
I think Kronos is absolutely a valid pick, whether it's for Emo or Yaman.
Yeah. Actually, that's an interesting pick for them, because I don't really think SpaceStation can kill it. Like a Sylvanas initiation, you can kind of rewind. I don't think Raijin can kill you before you get that off.
No, that's the nice thing about having the answer to the lack of burst. The homie Zots will come out. Kamazots and the Jing Wei for Zapman. 2 gods that those guys are very
I like the
comfortable
Jing Wei pick a lot, because adapting on Serket is probably going to look to get kills off these side lanes, and now he just cut the options in half now. Adapting's going to have to play off Maniac.
I think that Jingwei is great. A lot of lane games are more slow paced. They're not all gas pedal, and Jingwei is one of the best gods in the late game. You just farm up, you farm those backs off flying, and you just get naturally ahead of their ADC, and I think Zap is super comfortable on it. And alongside, they have the Kamazots. Kamazots is amazing versus AMC. You know, you jump in the lane, you hit him with a 2 and a 1, and he should just be
Kronos,
dead.
baby, called it.
There it is. We all knew it was going to be the Kronos, and he comes through in the clutch. NRG with their own skin comes through. Kronos, very, very interesting. And that's Badja. Badja, the old support, friends with Maniac from Once Upon a Time, playing on the SK and Fnatic teams. He's been their coach for a little while, and you know, it's interesting. Badja, not really the #1 guy that comes to mind when I think of players transitioning to the coach role, but he seems to have been really helping NRG out.
I think for team environment as well, knowing Maniac, helping him transition in that, I think he's a good friend of everyone. He's a good dude, so makes sense to me.
SSG versus NRG. I mean, these drafts look really nice on both sides, but I'm going to make you pick.
I like NRG's comp. I think it fits their style perfectly.
I think NRG takes this one.
You know what? I really got to agree. I think the composition's perfect. I think the team is ready to go, and I think they're hot as hell. Right now, we've got casters that are just as hot. It's Hindu, and it's Ryan.
Thanks, man. Thank you so much, Tom. Thank you, Desk, as well. Quick announcement as well. Harry's tickets are sold out. So
GG.
You're an idiot if you've not got one yet.
Yeah, you messed
Although
up.
you can go at the Coke Theatres. Maybe.
That's true. The local Coke Theaters, it's a really fun time. I had a lot of family members go in my area, and they had a blast. So it's definitely worth going to.
You didn't get them tickets?
No, dude, they didn't want to come all the way down just to see me.
That's a good
It
point.
wasn't worth it.
I want to go in game. Let's get into game and see you. I want to go into you either, that's to be fair. But this is a big one. NRG up 2-0 so far in terms of the group stages. They've already taken on Noble and then also beaten Dignitas. Now they're against SpaceStation, and SpaceStation currently 0-1 after their loss to Elevate.
I'm not sure there's a team on Earth I would want to avoid more than an NRG who's on a roll. I mean, good luck to SpaceStation in this one. And you know what? You and I were talking before the game started that we were very disappointed in SpaceStation's picks and bans in their game up against Elevate. This game, I feel like they did much better in the picks and bans. I like the direction that their composition went. But NRG just did better in my mind. I mean, the Chronos pick that PBM called was really, really good. The Circuit right after the Sylvanas pick is one of Adapting's comfort picks and does so well to shut down that Sylvanas early. NRG just looks great right now.
And then the thing is, though, you've still got your magical for NRG, even though they focus on Sol. They tried to take that one away as well as the Morrigan. So what ends up happening? Yamin takes the B, and Emilito goes with the Chronos here. You can't really ban them out, but you can only force them into certain roles. And the question is, did SpaceStation expect this Chronos?
Well, Homie and Scary might not have expected Adapting and Maniac to play so aggressive on this right-hand side. Circuit Osiris not the best at level 1. Still good enough to try and take the fight.
Curse for curse, and actually it's a bit of a win trade there for NRG just because there's minions left in the lane. Good news is, though, Andy and Jigs there on the defense, but they're going to be taken on against 4. They're going to have to back out here as Andy takes a lot more than he bargained for, adapting with the blink, and now Jigs is body blocked to death. The tree may just be about to escape because Emilito does not have another cooldown available.
Close call there for SpaceStation, almost losing 2, but they still lost Annenster for first blood, and that's just the power of AMC in the mid lane, man. That's all what it's all about, that push power, try and get towards that speed buff first.
Oh no, it's getting worse for SpaceStation already. They will get the blue buff on the right-hand side, but Zapman wasn't able to pick up that red buff on the side. Emilito steals it away. Now he's going to look for the purple buff. There's not much Zap can do about this, especially with Rafa sitting in lane 2.
Now, the good news for SpaceStation is that they got both buffs on the right-hand side to go their way because Maniac was only sitting at level 1, meaning that NRG couldn't really come in and fight that. But if NRG can try and get the push power here, might be able to try and push on those other side buffs that belong to SpaceStation.
Adapts under a bit of pressure. Does get kissed off onto Scary D just to try and slow that down for a second. The poke won't matter too much. The good news, I guess, is their own jungle is still up. So you're right, NRG. They didn't manage to steal the buffs. They just got that first blood kill. It went to Adapting, though, which is a Circuit and something you don't want to do in the early game. Give Circuit an extra edge on hitting that level 5.
I don't want to give Emilito an extra edge to getting any sort of lead in that duo lane with Chronos. I mean, he got both buffs on the left-hand side. He was able to solo down purple. Soloing a buff early is such a big boost of experience and gold. I mean, getting an invade with one other person is so big. Then you kind of take away that split, and all of a sudden you're sitting up by quite a bit of extra golden experience. So Emilito getting those buffs on the left-hand side and the oracles with Raffer's help is going to be a problem for SpaceStation.
So pressure on the right-hand side here, going to allow Homie to start rotating around, but he's not going to go too far. He's looking to actually continue the pressure on Maniac. Andy and Jigs will be in the mid lane with Yamin and Adapting. So they're leaving Zapman 2v1, and that's a Jingwei. He can kind of deal with that.
I mean, we saw what Ataraxia was able to do in a 2v1 scenario where he lost his dual lane tower, 3-4 minutes in, up against Elevate, and he was just fine. He ended up getting an experience lead not too long after that, about 10 or 11 minutes in. All of a sudden, he was in the XP lead because of how valuable getting waves all by yourself can be. And Jingwei is so safe that even in a 2v1, you really shouldn't be dying.
Interesting decision here to see Homie FA trying to zone Maniac off some experience. It forces Adapting for a rotation now, just to relinquish a little bit of that pressure, because Maniac needs that level 5 to feel a little bit safer.
And Homie is going to be a big key to SpaceStation's success in this one. I mean, the Thanatos game up against Elevate left something to be desired. We'll put it that way. Was not clean, and Camazotz is not one of those gods that you want to play when you're not hitting your skill shots. If Homie can get off to a roll and play aggressive and be that proactive jungler, then it could be SpaceStation sneaking one away here from NRG.
Scary D going to use his ultimate there and transform and look for a bit more pressure, but Adapting will just jump away back to safety. Looking through the builds, Zaninsta starting off with the Book of, not Book of Top, I should say, the Warlock Sash Rush. something that's been a bit more different than recent. Is that because of the changes to Warlock Slash more than anything else, or is it the meta?
It's helpful. It's both. It's a combination of both, and that the mid lane meta has been kind of dominated by picks that can go later game, and unless you're playing something like an AMC in the mid lane, I mean, we saw so much Thoth this weekend, and that's a late game oriented pick. It's early game junglers with later game mages, and if you're left alone and left to farm a lot, then you can get those Warlock Sash stacks early on and make an impact in the mid game a little bit earlier while still being nice and healthy.
Another small win there for NRG. Blink used by adapting in trade of Ancestor's beads, as well as he was just looking to contest those right-hand harpies. So that means he's going to play a little bit more defensively once more. Keeping an eye on itemization again. Rafa there going for the full gold generation in terms of itemization here, whereas Jig's a little bit further behind just with the Watcher's Gift and the tank boots.
I like the tank boots pickup here for Jigs, though. I mean, he is going to be the focus for NRG, and there's plenty of dot damage that can be reduced by those tank boots passive. I mean, I'm looking at the bees for Yemen. Adapting's ultimate is true damage, but it's going to stack up the stacks so that everything else damage-wise that Jigs is going to be taking will be reduced by those protections from the tank boots. Wise decision from Jigs, knowing that he's going to be the primary focus for NRG in the early game.
But we also see Jigs, Homie FA, and of course Scary D. They're grouping up for the speed buff, sending 3 men to make sure that speed buff isn't contested by NRG this time round, who were more focused on getting their own, and also the Oracles on the left-hand side. But it doesn't allow SpaceStation to continue the pressure on the right. That's where Homie FA has been spending most of his time so far.
Yeah, and Homie had an experienced lead not long ago. He's actually up a little bit on adapting because of how many buffs that he was able to strip away on the right-hand side on that first spawn, as we touched on. But now it's adapting with the slight XP lead, and some of that is because he's splitting these mid waves with Yemen there on the AMC. But the Oracle control, the mid camp control, he's been grouping up a little bit more with his team and splitting that farm a little bit more effectively, and that's why Homie has lost that experience lead early.
And also so far, Adins is just a little bit further behind in terms of experience over Yaman. You can see he's just behind the rest of his team in experience right now. But that was down to the first blood. Best news though, the Warlock Slash is online and stacking up to 11 stacks. And at this stage of the game, Aggro, getting online that early means by around the mid-game, it will be at full stacks.
Exactly. This is a really good pacing for Anister to be on. A little bit behind the next P, but that's not as big of a deal. As long as he can stay safe for the next 35 seconds or so, wait for those purification beads to come up and get those boots going. As soon as Andy finishes pen boots, he's going to be tanky, he's going to be mobile, he's going to be doing plenty of damage.
Blinking, and there's no beads this time. Anister, the silence is making sure he can't get the drums out, but he will get away. It's Jigs turned on instead, and he's already dead. Yaman in a lot of trouble, and the final sweep from Homie could kill him and will, but now Homie's in a bit of a tricky spot himself. Luckily enough, though, NRG gonna back away, 1-for-1 trade, support for mid laner.
Now it's Emilito in a bit of trouble here. He's completely out of mana, and Zap might be able to continue this chase. Yeah, Zap gonna dash in with that agility. The juke's not really working so far for Emilito.
Oh, that'll work as well with the airstrike coming in now. Homie FA around the corner, can pick up the pieces if required and will do so. They would have loved that to go to Zapman, but a kill is a kill. And then they're on the board and evening things up.
That was unfortunate for NRG in the mid lane. I think Adapting actually got the wrong target there with the last breath. Looking to CC chain Anister down with his purification beads down, I think was the call, though it could make sense to just go for the Sylvanas. I mean, shut down that healing, throw him in the thick of things, but you're just kind of giving Jigs a free initiation
if
in
anything,
that situation.
I feel Homie FA turning up there just at that right moment when they were initiating, actually just threw a curveball for NRG that they weren't expecting. They knew Jigs was there, they knew Andy was there, and Homie just turned up at the right time, which allowed it to turn around.
Scary might have to take a 2v1 here because Adapting has shown up, but no ultimate available quite yet for Adapting, and Scary's got quite a lead for himself over here in the solo lane. He's up about a level and a half over Maniac, and going back again to that first buff invade on the right-hand side going SpaceStation's way, and the Fire Elementals have consistently gone towards SpaceStation.
The first speed, the first blue, and the Fire Elementals. Raph is in a bit of trouble here, looking to try and get away, and will use his ultimate defensively to make sure he doesn't get caught out by SpaceStation, who are making a nice little rotation looking for a pick. They will only find the left-hand harpies, however, and I love the idea of a Scary D soloing the speed just to make sure that it's not being left up when you know Homie FA is on the other side of the map.
It allows Homie to stay over here, make sure that Oracles goes SpaceStation's way, and it just continues to grow that lead for Scary D in the solo lane. Maniac's not going to be able to solo down a speed buff anytime soon, likely, because Adapting is going to be over there, so this allows Scary to continue to get a lead. Now, in this lane, Scary's not going to be able to solo Maniac. Maniac is too well seasoned to know that he's going to be in danger of that with how far ahead Scary D is. So Scary needs to try and rotate and make this impact in the mid lane. AMC is food for a fed Cullen, and that is just a free dinner for Scary D if he can make the rotation.
And that's going to be the big key, is protecting Yamin and this AMC in the mid lane. There's a lot of picks here that SpaceStation have that can cause a lot of problems for the AMC. Already, you've seen Yamin take a tumble down to Homie Effie on the Kamazots, which the desk was even saying is a great opportunity for Kamazots to get kills. And then again, you just mentioned the Cullen, so 2 prime opportunities to get to that B.
And it's Yamin who's got to be cognizant of that and position accordingly. And that's why I like his Aegis selection. Not a lot of ranged hard CC coming out of SpaceStation, though. Does have to be wary. Jigs should really just be looking for root into pull onto Yamin every single time, because he's got no way out of it if Jigs can be accurate.
Well, we're going to get 3-on-3 in the mid lane for the time being. A bit of old classic Smite. Adapting's going to change that, though, by engaging on Jigs, whose ultimate will not be useful, and he's already dead. Adapting taking a lot of damage from the drums, but not really enough to bring down a kill, and instead choosing for control, I guess, there over the actual damage output at this point.
Homie just tries to go into the back line and prevent the rest of NRG from following up onto Jigs, but problem is that Adapting does enough damage by himself to bring Jigs down. He doesn't really need any help from Yamin or Raffer. Homie instead, I think, should have just been on top of Adapting and try and bring him down in response. If you trade support for jungler, that's in SpaceStation's favor. Instead, Jigs gets picked off and Adapting gets low, but not quite enough to bring him down.
It's a nice kill for NRG, but at the end of the day, it is on a support Sylvanas, and we've seen when Sylvanas do get focused, even mid to late game, it doesn't matter too much. They're still going to bring the same thing to the table. If anything, it's just going to keep him behind an experience, which will be an impact.
And he's down 2 levels already to Raffer, who's been hanging around this mid lane quite a bit. Nice play there by Adapting to make sure that he can get those right side mid camps going NRG's way, and he's done a good job of that so far this game. That's been a big reason why Andenster is a little bit behind in the mid lane to Yamin. It's just been mid camp control going NRG's way.
Well, you can see NRG setting up around this left-hand side here towards the red buff area. Now Emelito swinging around towards red, cutting off Zapman, but Emelito's going to be careful about being pinched himself. Now Ganesha going to be the leader in, keeping an eye on this red buff. Support again from Emelito. Won't be there in time, however, so they will have to relinquish that. And Emelito's going to be a bit careful about that buff, but he did strip it away just in time.
Man, that did not take him long at all to strip that one away. He got that very quickly, is already working on a ring there to get himself some extra magical power, that extra movement speed as well, and then he can kind of transition that well into the mid to late game.
Adapting did secure his own speed there just in time before Scary D came over, looking for a bit of a cheeky invade, like he asked for. Scary D trying to punish this lane a little bit more, knowing that he can't kill the Osiris.
He actually used the blink there to make sure that he could try and close the gap, but still wasn't quite able to find it. Sitting up a level and a half, 2 levels over Maniac, and that's not where you want your Osiris to be. Osiris is there to really win at this exact stage of the game. Early game, other gods can kind of take it to Osiris a little bit, but by the time you max out your 1 and your 2, it's really hard to out-trade an Osiris, and the fact that Scary D is continuing to do so is a good sign for SpaceStation.
I'm talking a little bit more about those solo laners. I mean, just on a straight-up matchup with no input there, is that relatively even between the two, a Cullen versus an Osiris?
I mean, whoever gets a lead is going to have a really easy time in that lane to try and be aggressive, because Cullen can just use his abilities and clear the wave very, very quickly and try and put some poke onto the Osiris at the same time. Plus that Vent Anger, just putting out consistent AoE damage around him, making sure that he's going to be at least doing some to Maniac at once. And Scary's actually used this lead that he's gotten for himself and rushed straight into a Mystical Mail instead of going for the Gladiator Shield that we used to see. And I love this call from him. He's not worried about getting outboxed because of Maniac's Gladiator Shield, because Maniac can't box him anyways. So now this power item, I mean, look at how much damage Scary does to Maniac just by using his 2 in conjunction with that Mystical Mail aura. Now Scary can go for a Gladiator Shield afterwards. He's not going to have that slow sort of lull in his power spikes because of going for Glad Shield into Mystical Mail. Now, as soon as he rotates into the team fight, he's doing more damage than just about anyone on NRG can handle.
The game's been a bit patient for a moment or two here, and no real surprise because of how close it's been in these engagements. Pretty much tit for tat every single time. Adapting goes in again, looking at Jigs, and he's a little bit premature this time with that ultimate. Better so, because Yamin surrounding him. The swoop will secure a kill, still 1-for-1, but Scary turns up to the fight.
Quick leap there from Adapting. Emelito getting met by Zapman in the jungle. Aggressive beads from
good.
Zap, who's going to continue the chase.
And now Emilito forced out there. Didn't panic too much, but I love what Zap's doing. Clearly, SpaceStation knew that the moment NRG engaged, they're going to go for the counter. Zap immediately rotated there as well to make sure that Emil doesn't do what he likes to do from the Hunter role and make sure he turns up to those team fights and make it a more, a man advantage every single time.
Man, aggressive Zap Man just feels right. I mean, seeing Zap beads aggressively and continue to dash in, I mean, that's who Zap Man really built his name around, and I love to see that style of play from him. And honestly, SpaceStation needs it. I mean, we talked a lot on the desk about how SpaceStation is a very reactive team. They aren't a team that's going to force you into spots. They wait for you to make a mistake. And against a team like NRG, who it just isn't going to make many mistakes, that's not going to work out more often than not. So seeing Zap be aggressive, seeing Homie be aggressive in the right spots is a really good sign from SpaceStation.
It's always funny because when you look at SpaceStation, it's like some of the old teams of days gone by. When you look at them, you go, that is a super team. They are high-level players, each of them, well known for their roles that they play. The problem is that they've not found that core, that grouping, that synergy that's required to really establish yourself as a super team.
And it's just... I mean, maybe it's just a personal preference of mine with play style, but I like teams that are forcing other squads into bad positions and want to make you fight them, and they're rotating around the map in an aggressive manner. SpaceStation is a pure counter-punch team. Jigs has Blink in case there's a really good situation for him to Blink engage into. But every fight we've seen in mid lane has started off how? It's adapting, blinking in and starting the engagements, and then SpaceStation take the Q and take the fight from there. SpaceStation is not going to be able to counterpunch against these top-tier teams because top-tier teams just don't make that many mistakes.
Well, left-hand side, you saw a bit of a grouping. Both Homie Effie and adapting had the same idea to put a bit of pressure onto the left-hand side. Only still Homie Effie around here now. It was adapting and Ganesh that turned up there first for a moment, which tells me that Amelito's like, listen, I can't really do much about Zap. He's also not letting me do much, so how about some ganks here instead? Because it doesn't seem to be working as well as we hoped in the mid lane.
Plus, Zap doesn't have his beads. Is Scary going to use the Horrific Emblem? Maniac going to respond with one of his own, but Maniac's the one losing the trade.
Still got ultimate, though, but did use his curse as well. Got to be careful of those minions and be a bit more respectful. Adapting now on the rotation should be a sign for Scary to be like, okay, not much I could do here, but maybe the all-in could be good enough. One side from Maniac, and Maniac going to go in with a trade and win it. Thanks to all adapting's work more often than not. Free kill, Scary falls down. NRG climb to 5.
Scary's bad tendencies rear their head once again, just being too aggressive in that lane. Yeah, he was winning it, but that XP lead that he had, gone. Maniac's evened it up now, and adapting just takes advantage. Classic NRG, baiting themselves and allowing their teammates to come in and finish up.
Amelito against Zapman, and Zapman showing his own juke boots that Amelito was trying to show earlier on. Gold Fury pulled though, knowing they've got a man advantage without Scary D, but Osiris isn't even in this fight though. Amelito, awkward position, has to rewind, but he's going to end up right back in dangerous territory.
Good damage on the Zapman though, forces out his beads, and now using that extra movement speed from the Hasten Ring, actually pulls Homie into a bad spot.
And the Stinger came out from Yamin, which got responded in tow straight away by Homie FA with the bat out of hell. But still NRG win that fight, forcing Zap back. It is after all a Jingwei, so he should be okay to get back soon. But that doesn't stop NRG from going for this Gold Fury.
Maniac's already here, and he can tank up this Gold Fury without much issue. Jigs and Andits are the first ones in. Andy's got both relics and his ult, but just doesn't want to commit.
Jigs going to get pressured. He's just trying to give vision for his team, and instead he'll give him vision of the fountain. That's all that'll be available for him. Scary turns up, though. Nice blink. Going to hit 3, but the Aegis from Yamin prevents the damage. Yamin being the focal point, and that's why Maniac's on peel duty. Andy would like Amelito, though, knowing that he's got no ultimate or mana.
Aggressive beads there from Andy. He knew if he found the slow there on Amelito, it would have been enough damage in that CC to put him into a really bad spot, but was just inaccurate with the 2-1 combo. SpaceStation lose their support. That was a great kind of reinitiation from Scary D, hitting 3 members with that knockup, forced out the Aegis from Yamin as well, but just not enough follow-up off of it, and Jigs just too far forward there. And again, that's SpaceStation just kind of hesitating on whether or not they can go in to stop that Gold Fury. Jigs goes in and dies intentionally to buy the rest of SpaceStation some time, but they aren't really able to get anything off the back of it.
Well, the one thing that generally happens now, we've noticed a little bit more in this season, is that these Gold Fury fights, Once a person goes down, they may just fall back and be like, okay, we got a kill. That'll do. We don't try and fully commit and end the game or force the goal for you in a 4v5. They still respect that SpaceStation were around there. More and more teams are realizing that. They're just getting the free pick. Can be quite useful.
Teams are getting really, really good, man. I mean, every single LAN, the level of play seems to rise, and that's what's so exciting about Smite Esports right now is that the dominant Dignitas from the summer. Yeah, exactly. They haven't won a game yet, and, and a lot of it is because of the level of play that other teams have brought.
I think it's 7 games in a row they've not won if we factor in the Obey set as well, right?
Yeah, from the end of the regular season, they've struggled as of late. There's no doubt about it.
Well, they're not technically dead just yet, but they are on their last legs.
They're drowning.
And SpaceStation, they need a big win here after falling down to Elevate earlier on. NRG secure this one. 4's a soft cap. If you get 4 wins in this group, you're kind of softly in to Hyra's Expo, based off how other games go.
It basically guarantees you at least a tiebreaker scenario, and then you have your own fate in your own hands. If you lose 2 or 3 games, you're immediately in a situation where you've got to be scoreboard watching, basically, looking at what other teams are doing, and Dignitas is certainly in that realm right now.
Well, they'll be hoping maybe SpaceStation can get something out of this against NRG to keep them on the back foot, and also SpaceStation fans will be doing the same thing, because without this one, this is going to be detrimental for them too. But NRG going to start the Gold Fury again. Adapting will be the one going aggressive when he can with the blink straight towards Anister, and Anister is committed heavily on, who's pulled back into danger. Can jump away, but the poison spreads to Jigs and Zapman, and now the whole crew of SpaceStation have to run away to wait for that to wear off. They can still potentially stop this Gold Fury, though.
Man, that was such a good ult from Raffer. Put the walls right on top of Andy. Gold Fury getting pretty low here, and Homie trying to get in there, but NRG is going to secure the Gold Fury, and SpaceStation can't do nothing about it.
I know it's what NRG do straight afterwards. No messing around, no going for the kills. We'll just walk away. We got exactly what we needed there. No point in hanging around. I wouldn't be surprised, Aggro, to see them look to repeat that sooner rather than later at the Portal Demon.
Now, knowing that Anister's Aegis is down, that's another aggressive opportunity for NRG. Andy was the focus there because his beads were down from that aggressive attempt to try and kill Emilito on the back of that last Gold Fury pull, remember? So that's just good relic recognition from NRG. This definitely reminds me of the NRG of old. A little bit of a difference where it's less of Dimmy and Raffer initiating and more of adapting, taking that initiation role and allowing guys like Emilito and Yaman to be the follow-up for him instead of where it used to be adapting, comes in and cleans up all the kills and gets all the hype for himself. Now he's kind of taking a back seat and allowing guys like Emil to take the forefront.
Right inside, Scary D was really trying to force his tier 1 tower, and I think that's just going to cost him his life now because adapting's here, Yamin's here too. He will rage out very, very soon, and the rotation from Homie FA will keep adapting busy. Scary D, though, looking to keep the pressure on a little bit using that rage form. His teammates were on the way round, but with adapting spotting it out, actually Scary can just walk away.
Decent damage there from Scary. Still had both relics available, but neither of his relics are thorns, and against 2 auto attack characters such as AMC and Kronos, a little bit surprised, though. Horrific Emblem, excellent against those auto attackers because of the attack speed slow that it can provide.
Funny enough, seeing all these Stone of Gaias coming out this week is starting to surprise me a little bit more. Started off with Rival, but it's been something that's been around, but people starting to realize that health regen, actual regeneration, it can be useful for staying in these engagements a little bit longer, or at least not being forced back to base.
Plus, there are a lot of gods that are very strong right now that have knockups in their kit that allows you to get that big burst of health regen from the Sword of Gaia passive. In this game in particular, you're looking at the Ganesh that can knock you up for NRG, and then, of course, Kakulin and Sylvanas have it as well.
Portal Demon started by NRG as the solo lane is still trading, but with Homie showing his face there, bit of a change of tune. Adapting accidentally pulled the Fire Giant there, but it'll be okay for now. Scary's nice and tanky in this lane now. He's not too worried about things. You just saw when he was slightly out of position over that tier 1, he wasn't too worried, but it's given SpaceStation some pressure in tier 1.
Good. Portal Demon a focus again here for NRG. They've got the ward coverage, a little bit of wards there.
That's free.
On the Portal Demon from SpaceStation, but only 3 members there. No one can really contest. Zapman just a little bit too late to the party.
So in essence, it was 1 wave in the mid lane and 1 wave in the left-hand side that was traded for that Portal Demon. Do you think that's worth overall?
Well, if Zap would have committed to pushing down that tower, I think that I actually prefer getting a tier 1 dual lane tower to a Portal Demon at this stage of the game. But with Zap rotating over, only getting 2 solo waves, and no, I don't think it's worth it.
Scary was really struggling to get that last hit on Ganesh. He was doing good with those minions to slow that down a little bit, but some gold in the coffers of SpaceStation to answer back at least the Portal Demon so far. And with the tier 1 towers of energy actually looking a little bit worse for wear than usual, It's not a terrible situation.
No, SpaceStation's still in this one, only down about 4,000 gold, but NRG's certainly in the driver's seat because they've got the Chronos coming into the late game. ML's nearly level 20. He's got a Rod of Tahuti already done.
I was about to say, that's a big concern for me, is generally we always talk about Hunter builds and their cost effectiveness. Well, when the biggest item in a Mage's build is generally Rod of Tahuti, and that's online.
It's a good sign already for NRG, and so that's why they're grouping up and sieging.
Scary D goes in, gets the blink and the ultimate off, but leaps tries back towards safety. Nice pull onto Emelito, but the Aegis will buy him some time. Keep an eye on the bat that's swinging around the back, and nobody's noticed it just yet. He's going to go into Emelito. Yamin, though, will take out Scary D for the initiation, and now everyone's trying to get away from Homie Efe, but he's surrounded and needs some support.
Zap with some good damage there, but Homie's still in trouble, trying to get away from Maniac, but he hits the slow. Can't hit that 180, but Vampiric Bats, and Homie likely to fall.
Think if the bats connect there, he might have lived a little bit longer, but NRG coming out top of that fight. Won't continue the pressure there, however. They're going to head back towards the jungle. Quick recall coming out of Rafa here, and one and you're done. Tier 1 tower, 2 kills, jobs are good.
That fight looked like it was starting off so well for SpaceStation. I wonder when the last time they played against a Chronos in a competitive setting was, because Emil's Chronos is on another level than just about anybody's, but that is what Chronos does so well. He gets low, he baits himself, oh yeah, come kill me, I'm the big guy that you have to kill, and then I rewind. And all of your stuff is on cooldown. I've got all my cooldowns back,
Fire Giant.
And I'm in a good position.
NRG already pulling this Fire Giant right now. Zapman's on the left-hand side of the map, and Andis is returning to base. I have a feeling SpaceStation might know this is going on, but they realize they can't do anything about it. Now the Fire Giant dies, they'll get that global notification of it going away, as Andy on the screen just wipes the sweat from his brow and shakes his head.
They're in a tough spot right now. SpaceStation Gaming looking at a 6,000 gold lead, nearly 8,000 experience for NRG, and they just got a Fire Giant as well. ML's only getting stronger. Yemen is only getting stronger. Adapting is only getting tankier, and that's the sort of style that he's really adapted to and gone for during this gauntlet run here at Super Regionals. Kind of just take it, you know, honestly. If Adapting keep him all in combat here, he can actually get his team to get a free Phoenix, because look at the right side of the map. Adapting stop Jigs is back, Homie, and Zapman will get back, but not in time to stop the Phoenix. The Gold Fury ended up hurting them even more. Yeah, not a good look there for SpaceStation, though, to be honest, they really did need that gold that the Gold Fury provided them, getting them closer to some power items. I mean, it allowed Zap to get a Deathbringer on that Jingwei. It gets Andy a little bit closer to that Rod of Tahuti. So it is a trade-off, but could SpaceStation have even defended that right side Phoenix? You don't really know. Going back to what I was saying about adapting, I really feel like if we just have a zoom-in camera, as Scary D is in real trouble, but the blink gets him out of it a little bit. If we have just zoomed in on adapting throughout this, these last few games for NRG, I could have sworn it was Captain Twig. He seems to have really taken a page out of the way that Captain Twig plays the early game and is around his team and plays the initiator, the facilitator role. And it still has that adapting a little bit of flashy flair to it, but the picks, the builds, the way he's playing the game, it really reminds me of Captain Twig now.
It feels like NRG have done some homework. That's what it, more than anything, I think NRG this year have struggled with getting to grips with the meta, getting to grips with how Season 4 is played after Season 2 and Season 3, but finally they've started to put the homework in and found their own niche in it. Obviously, it's very similar to some of the other styles we've seen, but they are putting their own twist on, as you expect from an established team.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not sure that if Obey drafts this composition that they put Chronos in the duo lane, and that's been a huge deal for NRG in this one. It has that little bit of NRG flair to it. It's got their style, but it's taking what's good from other squads and applying it to their own, and that's how you're successful in just about every walk of life. Yeah. I mean, you got to learn from the people who are doing it better than you, but keep it your own style and try to stay successful that way.
Well, 5-man grouping from NRG on the left-hand side now. Keep an eye on the relic of adapting, which is that blink. He's been the one engaging time and time again. The tanks won't be scared to go in, though, as the Dharmic pillars fall down, as does the Phoenix before the fight even starts.
Man, Chronos just shreds those objectives so quickly. I mean, that Phoenix was gone in the blink of an eye, and all NRG had to commit was an ultimate from Raffer. Now, ML did lose his beads in the midst of that, but Anister used the Aegis and Jigs used the Shell. So you're looking at the relic situation, it still favors NRG.
Now everybody can just group mid. 5 minutes will be pouring down right soon. There goes Jigs into ult early on, but gets a nice little damage to Melito, and he's going to fall down before he can get the rewind off. Scaredy goes in looking for Yamin, and there the 2 damage dealers are after. Adapting, Maniac and Rapper are just on peel duty, keeping the B alive. And for now, SpaceStation's base will hold, but it has been shredded.
Big deal there that Emilito, the first one to fall, and now SpaceStation look like they want to continue this chase because Scary's got that blink.
And in goes Zapman too, but the silence is from Rapper trying to slow them down. Rapper might sack himself, but he's going to make sure that Zapman has to run away from Maniac. Homie Efe still going in for Yamin, but the B is doing work. That was a big old fight for the boys of NRG. They take down Homie Efe in a 5v3 scenario, I believe there, and Maniac's going to clean up Scary D as well.
Honestly, I know it didn't end up working out, but
the idea.
I feel like that's the right idea for SpaceStation. Zap is healthy. Zap has Aegis. Zap has ult. Let's push it because he's got Deathbringer. He's your late game carry, and Emilito's off the map. That's been the guy that has really caused more problems than anyone for SpaceStation when it comes to damage. I like the idea from SpaceStation to chase him down. Just a little bit of miscommunication there about where Maniac was and where Adapting was, and Zap had a really good individual play from Rafford. Instead of trying to escape and peel off Scary D, he recognizes that Zapman is the guy who's going to cause problems for Yamin on that chase. So let's CC Zapman, set up for Maniac to get there in time and force him out of the fight. Really good recognition by Rafford.
And talking about that, that's where NRG have kind of struggled with some of the disengages or engages throughout this year. That's where Maniac was on the same page as the rest of the team. He came straight in knowing that Rafa was setting them up nicely for a potential pick on Zap and forcing him out, which kept Yamin alive. And now NRG
look at
staring
Yamin
down at the next fire giant.
In the player cams, Yamin's alive, but he's chilling. He doesn't have his hands on the mouse or on the keyboard. He's just relaxing.
To be fair, it's easy when you get a whole team to peel for you, right?
Yeah.
A whole team.
It's not bad.
I wasn't so sure about Yamin's B, but it's worked out all right from so far. 5, 2, and 5. Obviously, top of the goal charts is definitely that Chronos played by Emilito, who was left in the solo lane, for the dual lane, for most of the time. Now it's 16,000.
And plenty of player damage from ML, from basically everyone on NRG. They've done a good job of pushing in that damage early and often. And Jigs was the focus for the majority of it, but it was just a constant pressure applied by NRG, which allowed this win to kind of break open.
Well, is it a win? It's looking likely. This is a weakened Phoenix, and Emilito won't be scared to just swing one auto, just a damage check. Jigs goes in, hits 3. Adapting falls back. Maniac on the front side, along with Rafa, who took a lot of damage there, so he'll fall back 2 for the time being. They do have the Fire Giant, though, and they didn't use too much. I say that, but both relics were used by Rafa.
So no defensive or offensive relics there for Rafa with the Horrific Emblem or the Sprint, but it's only going to take a couple autos for Emil to get this Phoenix.
Second initiation from Scary D, and Homie FA commits too, but Yamin still had that Aegis up, and Yamin will absorb most of that damage. Scary D, however, eats a lot of damage, but he's still alive for a moment until the Stinger hits him in the back of the head from Yamin. And Insta's ultimate did some work, but not enough to bring them down, and Andy's trying to cause a distraction. He'll get Rafa, but he won't get the rest of the team. They're focused on the prize of the Phoenix on the right.
And they'll get it. That Titan getting pretty low for SpaceStation as that fire wave coming in from the left-hand side, doing plenty of damage, bringing it down to half HP.
Minions are doing the work for NRG, but that's the work that NRG put in to get to this spot, to get this game, and to give them their 3rd win in the wildcards.
NRG looking